Now today, Harris's attorney was adamant prosecutors did not have enough evidence. In fact, she told the judge today they'd win at trial. The governor is expected to sign off on the biggest inmate release in state history. We're told by police that this area will be blocked off for probably the next several hours as they continue to investigate. Just a tragic situation unfolding here near Northeast 23rd and I-35. An officer on scene just told me this appears to be the result of a drive-by shooting. Let me show you the house behind me on the corner. This is where we understand that little 3-year-old girl was inside with her family. The chief judge at Oklahoma County ordered the public defender's office to come here and talk to each and every inmate to ask whether they've seen a lawyer and whether they've gone before a judge. That's because the wrong drug was used to kill Charles Warner and was almost used again in Richard Glossop's execution. In July of last year, Perry Lott had a tough decision to make. He agreed to a so-called settlement with the district attorney for time served. He didn't want to spend another day in prison. He'd already served 27 years. Yeah, just a chaotic day here, and tonight things are back to normal here at Will Rogers World Airport, as normal as they can be after a tragedy like the one that happened here today. Michael Winchester shot and killed, an hours-long search for a suspect, and it all ended after more than 24 flights were canceled, and the suspect was found dead inside his pickup truck.
The victim has been shot on the sidewalk outside of the Southwest ticket counter.
Chaos at Will Rogers World Airport. Dozens of flights canceled. Hundreds of people inside the terminal urged to shelter in place.
Just told us to stay put, so we did.
We walked out downstairs, and that's when we started seeing all the police officers.
Around 1 o'clock, a massive manhunt for the shooter. 52-year-old Michael Winchester, a Southwest employee, was shot and killed. Authorities zeroed in on the parking garage.
We do believe it was premeditated. We do believe that the suspect had a firearm, obviously, to commit this murder.
Police found the suspect's pickup truck on the second floor of the garage. We're told the suspect was inside and died from a self-inflicted gunshot wound to the head.
In most cases of homicide, the victim and the suspect do know each other.
Going forward, airport officials say they'll revisit security measures, but say their current protocol worked on Tuesday.
We do have active shooter training. We train for these situations. Tonight,
questions surrounding a possible motive remain as a former Sooner standout's family grieves the loss of their loved one. Now tonight, police are not releasing the suspect's name. Earlier tonight, I was over at the suspect's home in southwest Oklahoma City. That's where police were waiting to get a search warrant signed to actually go search through that home located just a few miles from here. Now back out here live, we're told by airport officials that all airlines are going to waive flight change fees for those who had to change their flights today. Southwest without a member of its team, and all other airlines will resume normal operations tomorrow morning. For now, reporting live at the Will Rogers World Airport, I'm Abby Broyles. Back to you. This is a pretty frightening situation. When Victor Munoz showed up here to church, the priest thought he was just here to pray. But that's when the alleged attack happened. It all ended here. This is where police had to take him to the ground to tase him and get him into custody.
He was looking for Jesus, going about it in a very wrong way.
A bizarre interruption inside this sacred space of peace and prayer Thursday afternoon.
I was in the church praying, working on my homily, and this man comes up to the front and lays on the ground in front of the altar, which is not totally uncommon. It does happen sometimes.
What happened next is not so common. Father Edwards says Victor Munoz tried to climb on the tabernacle, shouting, not making any sense.
He did somewhat wrestle him down to the ground, trying to not knock everything over.
A struggle, and things seemed to calm down until Father Edwards says Munoz took off into a side room and came back swinging a crucifix and charging toward the door, striking the two men in his way.
Kind of a jab sort of in the jaw, and the pastor got more of a baseball swing across the face.
Police put the school next door on lockdown, and here you can see on body cam video, Munoz isn't stopping for police. Police tased Munoz, finally getting him to release the stolen crucifix.
Through the investigation, they were able to determine that he had actually ingested numerous THC edible gummy bears. And he had told them that he had taken a large amount of those gummy bears.
While Munoz is locked up, these doors remain open.
Our prayer request now is, how, Lord, do we have this be a house of prayer, but also be a house of safety at the same time?
The good news is everyone is expected to be okay. We're told Munoz had to have a pretty extensive medical evaluation before he could be booked into jail. Tonight, he's facing a number of charges, including assault and battery with a dangerous weapon. Reporting in Enid, I'm Abby Broyles, Oklahoma's News 4.
Abby Broyles joins us live with the exclusive interview. Abby.
Well, Kevin, Jess Eddy says the alleged sexual misconduct began 9 years ago. He told me that he didn't actually come forward with the allegations against Boren. He says OU came to him requesting an interview with the law firm hired to investigate Boren. Tonight, Eddy is also reacting to Boren's attorney's claims that he's doing all of this for money.
He had the reputation of a kingmaker.
At 21, Jess Eddy dreamed of a career in politics, so naturally he was thrilled to work for David Boren.
If he liked you and wanted to see you succeed, you succeeded.
Eddy went on a university trip to Houston with the now 77-year-old.
While I was in Houston, President put me in an inappropriate situation in his hotel room, and alcohol. I really don't want to go into much more detail than that. And I was also touched inappropriately by a vice president.
Referring to former OU VP Trip Hall.
It was just one of the most shocking and jarring experiences of my life.
Eddy says he dealt with it all by drinking and drug abuse, and claims a dean talked him out of going to authorities.
Telling me that it was a bad idea because of the power of those guys, of Boren and Tripp.
He's been sober for 4 years and has tried to put all of that behind him until he says OU approached him for an interview in February.
I had to determine by the questions they were asking me what was going on. And they're asking me about these experiences, the most painful experiences of my life. I was so offended that I wasn't going to tell them what happened to me.
So he didn't initially, but says he felt guilty for holding back the truth, and he went to Norman Police. Boren's attorney Clark Brewster is accusing Eddy of trying to get money out of Boren.
I was advised by legal counsel to, that I had a claim to be compensated for my pain and suffering. I called David Boren, and I told him that what he did in Houston was wrong, and he lied. When Clark Brewster came to me and showed me a document that said that I'm the center of the investigation, and we can kill this investigation, Jess. I can't describe the fear.
Eddy says he only has one goal.
I had to do the right thing. And I'm just trying to do the right thing.
Now, a second alleged victim's allegations are also being investigated. We reached out to OU for comment. For now, they're only saying this: the investigation is not complete, and comment on specifics at this time would be inappropriate. The evidence in Perry Lott's 1988 case sits in a box in District Attorney Paul Smith's office.
The evidence that we have is not at all compelling that some other perpetrator committed this crime.
A woman raped in her Ada home in 1987 picked Lott out of a police lineup. A jury convicted him. The rape kit was finally tested in 2014 after the Innocence Project took Lott's case. The DNA came back to the victim's ex-husband and another unknown man. No physical evidence put Lott at the crime scene.
The assailant wore condom and gloves. You wouldn't expect his seminal fluid to be in the rape kit. You wouldn't expect his DNA to be in the vaginal swab.
The unknown male DNA was on a cervical swab from the opening of the victim's uterus, not a vaginal swab. The victim testified at trial that the rapist removed his gloves before the rape.
Last year, Paul Smith agreed to let Perry Lott out of prison, but his conviction would stand. Lott took the deal, but his attorneys are fighting for his full exoneration.
Mr. Lott's an innocent man. His conviction should be set aside.
This all happening as a hit Netflix documentary, John Grisham's The Innocent Man, casts a dark shadow on the justice system here in Ada.
In my election, the author of the book was in our election, writing op-eds and different things in opposition to me. Don't know why.
More answers may come to light after DNA testing is done on a second rape kit. There was a similar rape in 1990. The man accused in that rape case was acquitted, but the DNA kit was never tested. Now Lott's attorneys want to get that rape kit tested to see if it matches the unknown male DNA in Lott's case. On that second rape case, if those DNA results come back to match the partial profile from the Perry Lott case,
then that's something substantial.
Would you be open to exoneration at that point?
I am.
But right now, do you still think that Perry Lott is guilty?
You know, what I think doesn't matter. It's what the evidence supports.
The detective who investigated Lott's case committed suicide before he was set to testify in one of Lott's hearings last year. Paul Smith tells me the OSBI looked into the death of that Ada detective. Tonight, that OSBI report remains sealed, and Perry Lott, at least for now, remains a convicted sex offender for the rest of his life. I'm Abby Broyles, Oklahoma's News 4. The FBI is asking for help identifying a woman they say robbed MidFirst Bank in Shawnee Friday afternoon. The suspect is described as being approximately 5'4", 40 to 50 years old, and having blonde hair, blue eyes, and a heavy build. She was last seen wearing a navy blue jacket and a navy blue hat. Isaac Bruno owns the Mad Tatter Tattoo Parlor next door, and he says their security camera caught the suspect walking towards the bank, then walking away just 5 minutes later.
It was bizarre.
Officials tell us that woman entered the bank, verbally demanded money from employees, and left with an undisclosed amount of money. Well, it was a case of violent road rage that sent a group of UCO students into a panic, and things took a terrifying scare. News 4's Jessica Bruno has the details. That was Jessica Bruno reporting. Now, Kimball's two friends didn't want to share their names since the suspects still haven't been caught. Unfortunately, police don't have good suspect descriptions right now. They told the victims they think the suspects most likely were trying to rob and carjack them. Emergency crews were called to an accident involving a motorcycle. It happened around 5:30 last night along I-44 near MLK. The call originally came out as an injury accident. It's unclear exactly what led up to that crash. Now to news happening around the state. A woman was rushed to the hospital after she was found shot early Saturday morning in Lawton. It happened shortly after midnight. When officers got there, they found a woman suffering from at least one gunshot wound. She was taken to the hospital for treatment. We're told her injuries are non-life-threatening. All lanes are back open after an accident involving a semi-truck and a train in Enid. It happened in Enid at the railroad track near the crossroads of U.S. Highway 81 and Highway 412. This is a picture shared by the Enid Police Department of the damage. The area was closed to traffic for a couple of hours as crews cleaned up and took a look at the damage. News 4 reached out to Union Pacific. They say the crash happened shortly after 2 p.m. yesterday and no one was hurt. Dozens of Oklahomans gathered at Wheeler Park as they were there to bring awareness for the need for clean drinking water worldwide. The Walk for Water event was hosted by the Jasco Giving Hope Foundation. A closed walking course simulates the experience of the average 3-mile trek many in Africa face just to find clean water. Participants started with an empty bucket and filled it at a halfway point before finishing the walk carrying a full bucket of water.
Imagine that we can.
It's a nonprofit located in Oklahoma City that works in 14 countries to help eliminate the world's water crisis. Now let's check in with Kevin Ogle for a look at what's coming up on Flashpoint this morning. Welcome back. It's a big week for Oklahoma City's Wilson Elementary School. They're celebrating 100 years with alumni gatherings, assemblies, and fundraisers. Galen Culver has the story of one Wilson Wolf who came back to find something her family left there nearly 60 years ago.
A 6, not bad out there. Definitely cooler than yesterday. And thanks for helping me out on the radar.
I was going to say, I think that's my radar today.
That's Abby's radar.
Yeah,
today.
I give it a 6.
All right.
John, thanks.
Yep.
Still ahead on Oklahoma's News 4, it is up, and away as we get a look at some of the balloons at the Albuquerque International Balloon Festival. That's next.